From one of the worst dishes he's ever tasted
Oh no.
to an absolutely revolting fridge, here's what happened to the restaurants that made Gordon Ramsay throw up. Starting with Finn McCool's from Season 1, Episode 7 of Kitchen Nightmares. It was a family-run restaurant owned by Buddy, who had 2 sons who worked under him. With Buddy in deep debt, Gordon arrived to find the place feeling, in his own words,
Bloody hell, it looks like a funeral parlor from the outside, not a restaurant.
Once he sat down with the family, it became clear that one of their biggest problems was the chef.
We have problems with Brian.
Okay.
He's a bit arrogant.
Because I say what needs to be said, and you people don't want to hear it.
It stems from him because he won't listen to Buddy.
After the family finished arguing, Gordon sat down and got an early glimpse of the restaurant's problems as he asked the waitress about the menu.
The clams, are they fresh clams?
Honestly, it's frozen.
And after trying 2 of the dishes, he got to the culprit of the episode, the infamous shepherd's pie incident. The food was so greasy
Just very, very greasy.
that he couldn't take it anymore.
That's disgusting. Do you want it? Second door on the left. Oh no.
After going into the kitchen to berate the chef, Gordon spent the rest of the day clearing up the kitchen with the crew and got it ready in time for dinner service. Gordon later humiliated Brian with a comparison of his shepherd's pie against the one that sent him to the bathroom to throw up. It was night and day, and when Buddy wouldn't leave him alone in the kitchen, he had had enough.
Fuck off. Yeah, buddy. I'm done working here.
After leaving them to run their kitchen for the night, the brother and father had more respect for what he did. They couldn't keep up with the demand, and that dinner service ultimately failed. But he did come back the next morning out of loyalty to his family. This is where Gordon decided to have a one-on-one chat with Brian, having found some common ground with him.
I knew you were an angry chef, frustrated, pissed off with your dad. I didn't know what you had on your shoulders before I walked in here. I can't tell you how important your role is enough.
His design team also spruced up the interior for the relaunch night, and come dinner service, they struggled and almost fell flat.
We're seriously in the shit now. The bar's completely blocked and Jason's all over the place. He's now getting shit from customers. We've got to turn those tables. This is the critical point of this restaurant. They've got to turn this, wake up and speed up.
But they managed to save it at the end by pulling themselves together and acting as a family.
There are like 5 restaurants in the whole country that I think it's actually one of the
Directly after the show, business was good for a time, yielding many positive Yelp reviews. One says the waitstaff was always super friendly and sweet, and the reviewer even took their husband there for his birthday, and he loved it too. Another says they had a good time and were looking forward to trying their food. Sadly, keeping the place open was not as easy as they thought, because this resurgence was short-lived. Despite the initial success, Finn McCool's eventually closed down in 2012 due to financial difficulties. Other reasons cited for the closure were competition and an inability to sustain the quality. Unfortunately, Buddy Mazzio is no longer with us either, as he passed away on January 11th, 2023, at the age of 69 years, surrounded by his family at the time of death. But being around family was the last thing on the mind of our next restaurant, Bella Gianna's, from the very first episode of 24 Hours to Hell and Back. It was a family restaurant that was supposed to make them rich, but it did nothing except cause issues within their family. After disguising himself and seeing how they worked without being recognized,
Have a look at this appalling, but it's dead. Don't eat the dressing. It smelled like the backseat of my car.
Enjoy, okay?
Okay, well, you don't have to be nasty.
Dear, you don't like anything.
You don't have to be
I'm
nasty.
not nasty at all, dear.
he dragged them out to the Hell on Wheels truck and showed everyone what his cameras had captured.
I think the restaurant, it is very old-fashioned.
We now only had 10 people all week.
Oh my God.
What is wrong with you?
Gordon went back to inspect the kitchen and figure out how to start turning things around for the family. This is where he uncovered some truly disgusting details about how the food was being prepared and where things really started to get to him.
Welcome to hell. This is a walking. Can you smell that?
Oh, yeah.
What is that that's gone off? That's not the dressing for today.
Yeah.
That is black mold. Can you smell that?
Yeah, I can smell it from here.
Take it away now.
After putting them through the ringer with several hours of grueling adjustment, Gordon did give them a good opportunity. And while the kitchen did struggle in the beginning of the dinner service, they eventually succeeded.
Listen, they're loving the food. Okay. We made 1 or 2 mistakes, big deal, but I said earlier we're gonna have bumps.
And one mistake.
You recognize the difference, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh my goodness.
It's like night and day.
Yeah. Dinner last night was not so great. Tonight was absolutely wonderful.
People on Yelp gave it great reviews when it was open, with one saying it always provided great value and good atmosphere, while being amazed that it didn't get more traffic during the week. Another, who had gone there several times, had never been disappointed and suggested that Vinny had helped set the tone for the evening. However, it didn't last for long as the owners moved on, especially since Gianna has been sold after several years on the market for $1.4 million in February 2024. But they also closed after selling to a new buyer. To this day, Gianna's signage is still outside the old building, the final remnant of what was once there. This isn't the only one on our list to have such great troubles, as next we visit South Boulevard, or Sobo, from Season 3, Episode 9 of 24 Hours to Hell and Back. Jermaine was the owner who had gathered $200,000 in debt in the last 8 months before the show. Wanting to start a successful business, he sought to fix his establishment's problems by calling Gordon to pull them out of the debt they were in. To see what they were like before meeting him, Gordon went undercover as an audio crew member.
So Alex, a member of my culinary team, is also going undercover as a local cook, hired to help.
Where's the chicken wings?
So he could see the state of the kitchen and the staff. He went out front and ordered everyone to stop eating before berating the restaurant staff both verbally and with evidence.
You're not gonna get nowhere.
There was something else I was supposed to do, but I can't remember. You don't need to be a culinary star to understand that. Smell it? People think this is exaggeration. I'm not around.
Eventually, he went to the kitchen to look around and discovered that one of the fridges was not even turned on. As he checked what was inside, he pulled out piles of rotten food, dry heaving and nearly throwing up in disgust.
Smell that.
I can smell it.
Pass it to the owner. Oh, come on.
After they had been torn to shreds, Gordon refocused on getting everything up to scratch. Menu, building, there isn't a thing that he didn't upgrade on the property. The dinner service soon became a roaring success.
Tasha, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Good job tonight.
Thank you.
Okay?
But things didn't go well in the aftershock of Ramsay leaving. The owner of the land said that the restaurant was evicted and was $22,000 behind in rent. Their license was also suspended in January 2020 for unpaid taxes. Having closed for good in February 2020, South Boulevard was closed before the 24 Hours to Hell and Back episode aired on TV. A small place called the Hangout Grill and Bar replaced it for a short time, but that was closed as well as of 2022. But closing was the least of the worries for our next restaurant, Bonaparts from the original Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, the first episode ever put to air on TV. The restaurant was owned by Sue Ray, who stepped into the restaurant world after selling a lot of different products before. But her restaurant has failed quite substantially.
The stark truth is that 2/3 of restaurants don't survive past their first birthday. And as things stand, Sue's in danger of adding to those statistics.
Non-garden.
Nothing at all. No. Chances of walk-ins, perhaps?
Slim.
Don't want to see you under a little bit of pressure tonight.
Their food is far from the quality that Bonaparts needs to set it apart from the rest.
But now you point it out.
Yeah.
Get that shit in the bin.
This is really worrying. A head chef who can't even taste his own food's burnt.
Down there, and they've got 11 customers in for dinner and up to their eyeballs in shitter. I mean, real shit. Everything's going in these cutters.
For some bizarre reason, they think that rings is the sort of ultimate fine dining experience.
Within the first 10 minutes of the episode, a soft-spoken Gordon Ramsay is given a bad scallop.
Will someone get him a drink?
Shit. How can you eat that? Oh. If you knew they were off, why didn't you say?
No, I didn't.
The rest of the episode isn't much better, as Gordon finds very rotten food in the fridge.
When's that from?
I'll tell you.
What are we doing with them?
Throw them in bin.
Throw them in bin, but you keep them in the fridge for 2 days before you throw them in bin.
Well, you just have to stick her orange. She wasn't going to say I told you so, but that's what she was doing.
And customers started leaving because the chefs had trouble getting everything out in a decent time. It turns out that later, Gordon did return to the location to see how it was doing. The owner of the restaurant had declined an on-camera interview with Gordon, and later wrote a lengthy diatribe against him for allegedly faking a lot of things, mostly the dirty kitchen. But they also made the mistake of launching an attack, having lost a libel lawsuit which forced the owner to pay 75,000 British pounds. The public was not fond of them at the same time either, with one online commenter saying that Sue hired crappy people that saw what her vulnerabilities were, and they did as little as possible to collect their checks. Bonaparts shut down its doors not even a year later in 2005. But shutting doors is something that would not stop the next owner on this list. Shelley, who ran Blackberry's soul food restaurant from Kitchen Nightmares Season 5, Episode 1. She was an iron-fisted woman who listened to nobody. Her own mom was $200,000 in debt and still at the restaurant working, while her daughter was earning next to nothing. When Gordon tried the food, he wasn't happy, leading to the chitlins being so disgusting that he had to stop.
There's no prayers going to save me on this one. Oh my god. I need the toilet, excuse me. I knew they'd come out quicker than they went in.
Look at they have to throw one up.
Throwing up?
Holy crap.
That evil laugh doesn't last long. Later in the episode, everyone turns on her for refusing to listen, forcing Shelley to finally open up, only for her to storm out, leaving everyone else to clean up the mess. Even after Gordon helped them with some problems, it wasn't enough to keep the place running for long. Reviews at the time said they were leaving with headaches and a seasick, nauseous feeling, while another asked about the changes since the show, leading to one of the servers to say that the owner hadn't changed her habits or attitude since the show, claiming Withers feels she's always right and everybody else is always wrong. Blackberry's failed to meet expectations and closed its doors for good in March 2013. In a Facebook post, Shelley told everyone that she would be continuing with a catering service, though right now she's on another career path. From what we can tell by her LinkedIn, Shelley Withers is currently employed at Aramark, a company that supplies food services, uniforms, and other items to businesses. She's been there for over 10 years, while her former sous chef is now an executive chef at OTG Management. Finding success is not something our next restaurant did though, as we move to Casaroma from Kitchen Nightmares Season 3, Episode 7. A failed restaurant with a bar attached that used to do most of the business. A new chef in the house made Gordon have to wait over an hour for his food, and later that episode, that same guy got fired because he couldn't keep the standards. After chatting with the staff and assigning a new head chef, Gordon went back to see the freezer he was working with. And this led to one of the single worst walkthroughs he has ever done in both the freezer and the bathroom.
Fresh Parma ham is caked in mold. Whoa, fucking hell. That's just over 3 months old. Oh, God. Green and yellow identifies bodily fluids. Any form of bleach or any form of cleaning will be identified through the colour blue, but the bodily fluids on here is extraordinary. Honestly, I've seen enough. Let's get the
Get out of here.
After showing the owner the dangerous state of her bathroom, a disaster just waiting to hurt someone, Gordon begins his makeover by switching their menus to a better pizza and refurbishing their entire interior. The makeover was successful enough to attract the local firemen, and the customers left happy at the end of the night, although Gordon still called it the worst Italian restaurant going. That was in 2010. Visiting again later, the place had 28 to 30 diners per night, but it wasn't going to keep them open forever. Casaroma closed for good on July 1st, 2017, after a rebranding attempt kept them afloat for 2 years, forcing the owner to sell the building. Today, the building has been replaced with a business that hosts a bunch of events and promotions. But that closure is nothing compared to what the next person in our list felt. As we move to the Secret Garden from Season 1, Episode 10 of Kitchen Nightmares, and its owner, Michelle, who seemed to think that he was that guy.
Am I a good chef? I think so.
He's French. That's his biggest problem. He's French.
So you're gonna have to excuse my arrogance. I'm not cooking with the stuff that's in there.
But his staff did not agree with him. He openly admitted that his restaurant had been silent the whole 7 years it had been open. When Gordon sat down to eat, he found the chip on the plate far more interesting than the food sitting on it.
Big, dirty, greasy chip plate, and like a big, overgrown ball of pubic hair. Deep fat fried. I'm fucked if I'm eating that shit, that's for sure.
How's your steak?
Carrots were raw, steak was tough, and that was just a big ball of grease. The plate was interesting.
Jane, I'm not asking you to blow smoke up his arsehole. I've just sat there for the last hour and had one of the worst meals I've ever eaten.
That's a matter of opinion.
Oh, God.
He later went into the walk-in freezer on site and just about had a stroke seeing that there was mold growing everywhere.
Fuck. The food's been in this fridge for so long, even the fridge has now started to go moldy. Look, just here, there's like mold caked on. This thing hasn't been cleaned for years. Maggots. Oh, infested with the maggots. Oh, God.
And a later exchange where Michelle told Gordon to his face,
Your menu is not better than mine. You know?
You're a donkey.
My food been voted best chef in Ventura County.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me finish.
Comments of the episode and the community of Hell's Kitchen were not fond of him either, with one calling Michelle out for saying his restaurant was better despite being on a show like this, and another saying, you know they were bad when they can't get a carrot cooked. Because of his unwillingness to take critique, the Secret Garden restaurant in Moore Park, California closed in 2015, about 8 years after its creation. It had apparently closed because Michelle sold the restaurant to a new owner, Danny Margolis, who developed it further, and this was not helped by him going through a divorce. Gordon's disgusting experience in Secret Garden, along with his heated moment with Michelle, became one of the show's most iconic moments. But it eventually led to the restaurant's closure.